Welcome to the Social University podcast. We are so glad you're joining us today because we want to help business owners, entrepreneurs, and people just like you who want to build their business online. Listen, if we can do it, you can do it. So let's go.
So you have a website, but is it really working for you? Well, let's find out. Today we've been talking about spring cleaning all month. Today we're going to talk about spring cleaning for your website, but very specifically, we're going to talk about aspects that a successful website needs to have in order to be successful. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm Karen Taradas with Social U, and we come to you live every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Central on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So let's go ahead and get started. First and foremost, you want to check your domain name and your hosting plan. You want to make sure that you actually are the owner for your URL. And this happens sometimes when you have hosting companies and they register for you, they register under themselves. Make sure it's yours and that you own it so that if you ever want to swap it out later, you can. And you can redirect any URL you want to. Our website is yoursocialu.com. You can see it behind me. But I also have KarenTaradas.com. I have socialmediabirmingham.com, and they all feed to the main website. Check your URLs and make sure they're active and they're set up on auto renew. You would hate to spend 10 years establishing your brand to have somebody undercut you and purchase your website out from under you. So make sure that they're accurate. And if you need a good hosting program, we have I love our web host, Ben Deloach with WP Site Mason. He does hosting. Any kind of small edits are also included in your monthly hosting fee. So it's a great way to go. It means you don't have to wait a month to get edits done. And it is also so easy. You just send him an email, and then normally in a couple of days, whatever you sent is taken care of like magic. So love Ben. Love working with Ben. If you want, we'll put in our notes for this presentation how to reach out to him. Second is the SSL. I cannot believe I am still having to say this more than a year later, but you have to have a certificate on your website for it to be viewable. Google has gotten to the point now, if you don't have that SSL, they won't let people see your website. And I am shocked at how many folks just don't have that. It's not a thing. So if you see your website on Chrome and there's not a little padlock next to the name, it's a problem. And you're going to want to fix it immediately. It's a quick fix. If you have somebody like Ben who is maintaining your website, it's included in your monthly hosting. If not, you can purchase the SSL for less than $100 and you can have your web person add it for you. But 100% need to have that done. It's pretty critical. You want to test on all browsers. Why? Well, if your website looks different on a phone than it does on your laptop, that's a problem. And again, I can't believe I'm having to say this in 2024, but there are a lot of websites that are not mobile friendly, and folks do a lot of looking on their phones. So you want to make sure that you're mobile friendly. You don't want to throw up an obstacle before your customer even has a chance to connect with you. So mobile friendly, 100% mobile friendly. Number 4, you want to make sure and check all your links. Do all of the links on your website go to where they need to go? And I would include your social media links in that. Again, I'm surprised at how many you'll have social media links. People still have Google Plus listed on their website. Come on. Make sure they're current. Make sure they work. Make sure they go where you need them to go. Do you need to add new ones? Have you started a TikTok channel? Is that link on there? Make sure it is. Do you have a cool, awesome download and the link's not available? You want to make sure that it's available. And that leads me, I kind of overlap these, but make sure all of your social media links are there and that they work. Don't make it hard for people to find you. Our contact information is on every page on the website. Our social media links are on every page of our website. You have to make it easy for your end user, because if you confuse, you lose. I love that saying from Donald Miller. If you make it hard for people, they're not going to shop with you. That's just the reality of it. Update and check your contact information. Speaking of having your contact information accessible on every page, you need to have an email and phone number on every single page on your website. You have to make it easy for people to get a hold of you, to do business with you. One of the first normally when we do any kind of discovery, you have to schedule a call. It's very easy. We have that Calendly link on every single page on our website. You can sign up for any time you want. It's there at there for 15 minutes a piece, but it gives you access to one of our team members who can answer your questions and help you out. Are we a good answer for whatever the question is? Yes, we can answer that for you too. It's no charge, and we try to make that as easy to find as possible. You want to test functionality on your forms. Do you have a contact form? Does it work? Where does the contact information go? Do you have a sign up or a pop-up? Did the information come through? That's the kind of thing you want to check. Because if you have one little tiny broken link, it can throw the whole process off. And it can happen when it could be really simple. It could just be an update behind the scenes that you're not even aware of. And now one of your links is broken. So every spring, hopefully at least once a year, you're checking that to make sure that it's working. So yeah, check those links, check that functionality. Number 8 is kind of a big ask. You want to proofread your website. Yeah, all of the website to make sure that you are getting what you need across. You need to make sure there's no typos. You need to make sure the information is up to date and current. You want to make sure that you're giving the right information, but you do need to proofread at least annually to make sure that everything is correct. You want to make sure you have current pricing on there. If you have old pricing, update it and make sure that it's right. You want to make sure that you're consistent. Do you have the correct services listed? Are they listed in the same way they are on Facebook? Is everything cohesive and coherent? Which leads into a content audit. You need to check what's working. Do your pictures take too long to load? Are they compressed? Are they labeled correctly? Well, what does that matter? Well, Google sees the name of the images just like they see the name of your blog. So if you have an image that's called 6872, nobody's looking for that. But if your image is called Spring Cleaning Your Website, A Fresh Start Online, number 1, number 2, number 3, people will, that terminology associated with the image is searchable. Google sees it. So it means not only can you come up in a Google search, you can come up in a Google image search as well, but it makes it helps your SEO. You want to make sure that your pictures aren't taking too long to load because that's a very common mistake. And it's a great reason for people to opt out. If it takes too long to load, they're just not going to do it. So make it as easy for them as possible. And that includes having your content audited, checking your pictures, making sure you're saying the right thing. Okay, this next one, nobody ever wants to hear their baby's ugly, but do visitors understand what you do? I would almost dare you to take a random poll and let people go look at your homepage. And if they cannot concisely tell you what you do in 1 or 2 sentences, your messaging is confusing. And I will say this again, when you confuse, you lose. That is a direct quote from Donald Miller. He is StoryBrand, which is the process that we implement on our website. It tells people who we are, and our homepage is formatted to keep the viewer there long enough so they can get the information they need. You have, and I'm going to get into hooks in just a second, but you have to make that information easily accessible. And you don't want to use a bunch of industry jargon. You don't want to use a bunch of irrelevant, world-class, state-of-the-art, out-of-the-box. It doesn't mean anything. And there are so many websites that'll say, I help the busy professional reach their goals. How do you do that? Are you a life coach? Are you an accountant? Are you are you a personal trainer? That could mean so many different things. It has to be specific to your company, and people need to understand it at a glance. So if you take just a straw poll with friends and family and they don't understand it, it's time to update that message. We do have access. There is an amazing StoryBrand coach in Birmingham, Lisa Shook. We work with her very consistently. So if you want to implement that process for your website, it's a great process. She meets with your team. It takes a couple of days. You hammer out your messaging, and basically your homepage will be rewritten by the time she's done to reflect your messaging so that you're getting the right message across to the audience that you're trying to target. And I'm constantly surprised at how many businesses don't know who they're trying to target. And this is a good way to figure that out as well. Number 13, you want to update news or add a blog. If you do not have a section on your website that is dynamic, that changes consistently, you're hurting yourself on Google. Yes, Google really weighs your homepage content very heavily, but a blog, they love change. So if you're going to post a blog consistently, it's a great way to show up on SEO. The magic number is 52. So we've been doing this a while, and we have probably several hundred blogs by now because we've been doing this for several years. But there was it was like magic. When we hit 52, people really saw us. I was coming up in many more Google searches. That's just the way it is. Now, I'm not trying to wear you out. If your bandwidth will only allow you to do 1 or 2 blogs a month, that's okay. Be consistent. You'll get there. Eventually you'll get there. But any change, any updates, it's going to help you long term. And it looks bad if you have a news page and your last article is from 2013. If you're going to have a news or a blog, at least make sure that it's current. It doesn't have to be up to the minute, but it should be up to the month. Like if you're going to have a blog post, a blog area on your website, you should at least have 1 blog per month. You just want to make sure that it looks like you haven't kind of given up on your own website. Review your analytics. Google Analytics are free. Take a look and see where your traffic's coming from. See if people are bouncing. See if people are staying with you or not. Find out where they're spending their time and focus on that. You may find out that you're getting a ton of referral traffic from Pinterest and you don't even focus on Pinterest. It's a great way to find out how people are finding you and then spend more attention on that. Verify your call to action. Make sure you have a great hook. We try to update ours every so often, I'd say quarterly. Right now we have a free content calendar available on our website. I love that content calendar. It has a ton of information. It's been updated for 2024 with 2024 dates and holidays and special announcements. Love that. Can we change it? Absolutely. And we can we have lead pages on all the platforms that reflect different needs. You might get a LinkedIn checklist on LinkedIn. You're going to find an Instagram checklist on Instagram, but you definitely need to make it relevant, and it needs to be a pop-up so that people have the option and they know what you have. Great hook. And then of course, you want to keep in mind with your hook, with your lead page, with people signing up for stuff, you don't want to overwhelm them with a lot of choices. And that happens on a lot of websites. One hook at a time. You don't want to bury them with the more that's happening, the less likely they are to take action. So if they pull up your website and it's a gateway website and you have the options to go into 3 different websites and there's 3 different hooks and there's a event count. That's so much happening. Streamline it. We have a active hook and a passive hook. So you have the pop-up that asks you if you want the content calendar. And then several times on the homepage is our Calendly link. Do you just need to ask a question? Do you need to find out if our services are right for you? Okay, schedule a call. Not a big deal. It's simple. It's 2 choices. I don't even have on the top of our homepage of our website, you will not see options to go to another page because I don't want to show those on that. I want you to stay on that homepage. So if you want to get to the blog, the team, the services, you have to go to the bottom of our homepage. That's by design. We want to focus your attention on the action that we want you to take. And that's just the way to do it. You also want to ask for feedback. Talk to your team, talk to colleagues, talk to people in your industry, and find out what they think. I would much rather have people tell me this doesn't work, this doesn't look like I want it to look, this is confusing, and correct it and improve my online presence or improve my sales or improve my branding than to just stick with that ego-driven that ego-driven I wrote it, so it's got to be good, or I created that. You have to get out of your own way. So ask around, get input from other people, improve as needed. I would say if you haven't updated or refreshed your website in a couple of years, it's time. Again, that's something amazing that Ben Deloach with WP Site Mason offers. He does a great refresh. If your website looks like it's from the turn of the century, people are not going to trust it. If you haven't spent the time to make your presence updated, how are you going to service them in a professional way? You have to get that messaging across. And a lot of times the website's the first thing people see. So you want to make sure that that's good content there. That's it for us today. all during May, we are going to talk about mental health. We're going to talk about imposter syndrome. We're going to talk about setting limits, FOMO, being healthy around your social media, online mental health resources, and why unplugging should be important to you. So lots of mental health information for May. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. And until then, I'm Karen Taradas with Social U, and I'm here to help. Thanks.
Thanks for joining us for the Social University podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media at Stay Social U. That's the letter U. And we will talk to you next week. Remember, you've got this.